I started talking and nobody was there.
Wow.
This is my first show ever. Hope everybody's doing. Is this on? Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? I got the date right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope your week is going good. Natalie, how in the world are you? You talk now, so I can
Okay, I'll take
not
over.
sound
Anyway,
stupid.
I'm great. I was just at Charlie's Beyond Belief Expo over the weekend with our guest, Brooke Moreland. And so she spoke at 11 a.m. I spoke at noon, had a great turnout, a ton of fun. And it was just a bunch of friends getting together, having fun.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of it, and I saw part of the video from your talk, and sounded and looked great.
Yeah. It was a great turnout. So I was so happy, and there were kids there having fun, and adults, and people were dressed up. So it was really cool. And Brooke and I got to have our tables right beside each other. So that was cool. We got to hang out the whole day.
That's awesome.
And we were eating candy the whole day too. So
eating candy.
Everybody brought candy.
What kind of candy? Like chocolate?
There was chocolate. There were gummies. There were milk duds.
The good kind of gummies, or just like the gummy?
Not the good gummies.
Not the good
just
gummies.
The lifesaver gummies.
So it was that kind of.
Not those gummies.
Okay, so it wasn't that kind of. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that kind of fun.
But the setup there looked really cool. It looked like the seating was along the edges, and it looked like a big giant chessboard with a big table in the middle. That looked really cool. It looked like something out of a movie. I'm not making fun of it. That's what it looked like to me.
There's a reason I'm laughing, and I think Brooke knows why I'm laughing about the checkerboard in the middle. But it was actually a temple.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get in there, which we were shocked that they allowed women in there, because normally women do not go in the temple area. And they allowed us in free will, and then we got up there and spoke, and so we took a lot of pictures beforehand.
Nice.
Yeah, cool. It was fun.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That you had fun. Wish I could have been there. I mean, that's an awful long trip for me for a weekend, but
right. Yeah, that would have been a long haul for you all the way to Fort Myers.
Drive down there, turn around. Hey, how you doing? And leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, glad your weekend was good. It was a long trip. Well, not a long trip for you, just a few hours.
Yeah, it was only a 3-hour drive, which was pretty nice. But now getting ready for everything else, and as soon as you're done with that event, now you're getting ready for the next event. So I'll be leaving next Friday to go film with Relic Films, the next documentary. And then after that, we're getting ready for the premiere of The Vanished, along with the mini conference in Alabama.
That'll be in January 31st.
31st.
Look at that. I have that. Hey, I'm prepared.
Oh, my word.
There it is right there.
January 31st. You're so good.
Every now and then I happen to fall into things. I'm Gardendale, Alabama, the Civic Center there.
Yep.
Tickets are only $15.
Yeah.
So if you're in the area or can get there relatively easy, come on down and check that out. It'll be certainly a fun time to see Greg's
vendors and speakers.
Yes. A couple things before we bring Brooke on. I promise I know how to say your name. It's Brooke. It's not a difficult name. I'm just
he's
an idiot.
Yeah, this is what he does, Brooke. I'm so sorry.
I appreciate that you agreed with me. Every now and then. No, you're not. That would be fine. That would be great.
No, that's what you do. Okay.
We're like brother and sister. I mean, we argue like.
I'm not touching you.
Wrong way.
No, I'm not touching you.
So anyway.
You're so funny.
I know. So anyway, We're going to bring Brooke out here in just a few seconds, but I want to remind you guys, if you want to check out paranormalamongus.com, have links to all kinds of fun stuff, has a link to my merch store, a lot of cool stuff over there. And pretty soon I'm going to put a sale on things, like maybe like 15% off or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
go check that out. And then, if you're feeling obligated, it's certainly not expected, but super chat, as BMR would say, super chat is open. But I just honestly, I just really appreciate everybody being here. So
yes,
yeah.
And
anyway,
if you do feel the need to give something, we would appreciate it. That's how we run the show. That's how we keep the lights on and all of our stuff functioning and giving you all this entertainment of Paul and I annoying each other.
Yeah. And that gets us to conferences that are not like 3 days away. But so anyway, if not, I love having everybody here, and that's a conversation for, well, you guys all know that. So anyway, we're going to bring Brooke up here.
All right, Brooke.
Hi, Brooke
Moreland, everybody.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming on the show. I certainly appreciate you spending your Tuesday night with us.
I would love to. And I love how Natalie was talking about those pictures. There's so many that will never see the light of day, but they were great.
Oh, okay. So that's a tease.
So we took some photographs that we will not release, and they're not X-rated.
No.
They are not.
No,
it is more of, the pictures that you don't take in a temple.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's all I'm going to say.
I will say that the picture that it was individual of you both. You guys were sitting up on a chair with your legs crossed. You guys looked so badass in those chairs, just sitting there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I think we were going for. That was definitely the vibe. And honestly, even with everything that I already knew, like about the symbolism behind the Masons and stuff, I had no idea until somebody commented and was like, "Oh, you're sitting in the Great Chair of the East or something." And I was like, "Oh, okay, now I got to figure out what's going on." So I Googled it, and turns out we were sitting, I don't know if you know this, Natalie, in the worshipful master's chair. So like when you have the lodges, like the head honcho of that lodge, we were posted up.
Wow.
Yeah, we were in his chair, like the head person. So
yeah.
Wow.
That explains the energy.
That's a pretty cool honor.
Yeah. The energy when we walked down the hallway was very heavy. And then when we walked in the temple in that room, oh Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was unique.
It was very unique.
Wow. Benno, bow down and worship. I mean,
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's right, Paul.
I had to do that slow so I didn't hit my head on the counter.
Can you imagine
I would.
your head doing that? Oh my God. So Brooke, you run Dark Florida, which is your baby. Can you tell us all about that?
Sure. So Dark Florida is my podcast, and kind of, I guess you could call it maybe a brand at this point. Dark Florida kind of encompasses everything from the Sunshine State and beyond. So specifically when it comes to my show, I like to cover, eerie true crime, historical oddities, the stories that people have forgotten about, unsolved mysteries that still have us asking questions, decades later, Bigfoot sightings. I love sitting down with eyewitnesses and other researchers to find out what's happening in their areas, what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. We talk about cryptids, paranormal, and just everything in between. So that's what I cover on my show. And then myself personally, I do a lot of boots on the ground, Bigfoot field research, as well as I dabble in the paranormal, or really, it kind of came to me, as you know. We have similar stories in that sense of, just being open-minded, and, we're out there primarily for Bigfoot, but as we know, other things happen and do occur. So that's why it's kind of opened up the door. So now it's like, I feel like I do it all, do it both.
Isn't that funny how you start out with one and then it just kind of opens up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you experience all these other things, which has just been phenomenal. And then we had talked before, you share your experiences with everybody.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, how it opens up the doors, you know, so many times we go to these places, and I know I talked about it in my talk, is that, you know, you'll ask a local, hey, have you ever seen Bigfoot? Have you had a Bigfoot sighting? And then they're like, no. And then they share with you the most off the wall, scariest story you've ever heard. And they're like, no, but we saw some black-eyed kids over there, and I've seen a skinwalker like down over yonder. And it's like, oh, okay, great. Great. I thought this was just Bigfoot. Now I've got to like pivot, and now we've got all these other things happening. So yeah, it really does take you some strange places, and you just have to be open-minded and be ready to pivot, because things can change on a dime.
Exactly.
Absolutely. 100%. It does.
And before we get going too far, thank you, Tex, and thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Don't have the ability to put those on. There you go. There. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, brother. All right. So this is weird. I'm hearing like all kinds of noises in this house.
So he has you have a REM pod, don't you, next to you, or what do you have next to you?
I don't have it on.
You don't have it on. It goes off all the time when we do these podcasts.
Yeah. And actually, I have cat balls that I keep up here too. It's only gone off one time, and I was on a show, I believe it was with Brent Thomas with Paranormal Portal, and he does one on Saturday night when I did one on Saturday night. So I did my show, and then we took like a half an hour, and then we did his show. On my show, my cat ball went off, and on his show, his cat ball went off. And his has hardly ever gone off. Mine's never gone off. So that's weird. There's things around here, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I hope we bring the energy tonight.
Yeah.
So, you know, you never know. So, you know, I've been this last week or so, I've been kind of watching your podcasts and stuff. It is really, really interesting. So guys, make sure that you head on over there. Here's the link. Jenny's been putting it in chat.
Thank you.
And Pam will have it out there. Make sure that you check out her podcast and subscribe and stuff. And like you said, it's just amazing. About everything. And that's like you guys said, it's all pretty much connected at times.
Yeah.
So, So how did you get into all of this fun stuff? And I know this is a very interesting story because I heard it on another show one time. How did you? I always like hearing how people get into this stuff. You know, it's some people, I've just been fascinated by it, but you had a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. So I kind of got into this world. I think before even my own doing, like my nanny, she had a sighting. So growing up, I heard her Bigfoot sighting. She saw a skunk ape here in Florida back in the Panhandle in the 70s. So basically, she was a newspaper delivery driver, and she had to get up really early in the morning to go and deliver papers. And the community that she had just moved into was very newly developed. And this was way before Florida is as overdeveloped as it is today. And they had these logs that were stacked up, and they'd been put there with really heavy machinery. We're talking really big, thick Florida pines. And they were coming out in the morning, and they would be scattered around like matchsticks. So it really freaked her out, as well as the whole community. So she started parking her truck really close to the door so she could literally run out from the house, get in the truck, and go, because something had the entire community on edge. Well, this one morning in particular, when she went to go and start her day, she got in the truck and she was actually chased. And I just can picture it in my head, her just barreling down the road at full speed, and this thing just giving chase to her. And she says she recalls the overwhelming odor that it had. So that really stuck out. And then she did develop dementia later in life. But whenever we would ask her about that story and about what happened that day, and whenever we would say Bigfoot or Sasquatch, you could just see the look on her face change. And it took her back to that moment. And she was really afraid. So I had her sighting. And then I've always been the kind of person, I need to know the why. I love diving into things, figuring things out. I'd like to think I'm a critical thinker and I don't take things at face value. I love to just dive into stuff. And I've always been a big fan of mystery. And so I started listening to podcasts and stuff myself. And I've always been a really like avid outdoors person, hiker. Actually had a UFO sighting before I got into any of this stuff, and had, Bigfoot sightings and stuff before any of that. Just love the outdoors and everything. So started listening to podcasts, and I got really burnt out on true crime. I was like, I can't listen to any more of this. I know I covered a little bit on my show, but sometimes that's a world I have to step in and out of. Just, being a little empathetic and just hearing these stories. It's like, it's a fine line between telling the story and then entertainment. And anyways,
yeah.
But so I'm like, well, I'm going to start seeing what's out there. And I noticed there's Bigfoot podcasts and paranormal podcasts. So I started listening to them, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was like, I wonder if there's like groups here in Florida. And so I got connected on Facebook, found out that there was going to be a Bigfoot conference in Ocala. And I was like, well, I am going to go. So I dragged my partner to Ocala a couple years ago, and we decided to go to this conference. And I found out there was a dinner that was happening before the conference, and I got to go, and it was a Bigfoot dinner, and I got to meet other believers, investigators, people who are curious, all across the spectrum. But they were great. And that's how I kind of got to meet some friends and stuff. And from there, those friendships grew. And I decided to take the armchair research into the field, because I'm like, well, I'm already going out hiking a lot. I'm already doing all these other things. Like, let me do it with a little bit more precision and thought behind it. And then basically from there, the research then metastasized into dark Florida. And now here we are.
It's amazing. It's amazing how our paths are quite similar, because that's how I started out as well. So as you're going on, how did you get into the paranormal piece of it?
Well, I definitely had experienced some things, again, pre-Bigfoot. I've had a couple paranormal experiences in my life, like some poltergeist activity in an apartment that I lived in. Yeah, it was really scary. I'll never forget. And I remember like doors like would slam on their own, and I'd be the only person home, and different things like that would happen. And again, never really thought much into it to think about the more, but I like to consider myself a spiritual person. I believe in energy. I do believe in angels, demons, ghosts, and everything in between. I mean, Bigfoot and all the cryptids, for God's sakes, like all of the Lord's creatures, I believe in them all. Yeah. I've always kind of like really been open-minded with that. Like, I'm like, I totally believe there's fairies and gremlins. Like I'm totally there. So with Bigfoot and getting into like learning about more of the missing 411. So the more you learn about like Bigfoot, when you kind of go below the surface there and start following the works of people like David Paulides and things like that, and you're seeing, okay, what is happening here with these people who go missing, Bigfoots that are leaving tracks but vanish without a trace, and that there's just something more happening. And so again, I guess it's called like paranormal or supernatural, but it's almost like we don't have the word quite for exactly what that is. So that really fascinated me, trying to figure out, where are all these missing people going? People who are in national parks, what are they seeing? They're seeing these orbs, they're seeing these things. So bridging that gap between the why and the Bigfoot and the paranormal was just like the next step, because for me, and I know everybody has their own theory, and I love that. And I think at the end of the day, it's important to keep an open mind, and it doesn't matter if you think it's an ape or something supernatural. I love it all. And we're just all here trying to figure it out. I lean towards there's something very supernatural going on. You have something very physical with supernatural qualities, So I think when you start looking into Bigfoot, if you follow the evidence, it'll take you to the paranormal, whether you're looking for it or not. And I think that's kind of what happened with me. And Yeah.
100% on that. And I love the fact that we can go on these shows, go on other people's shows and talk about our beliefs and stuff. And you're going to get some people who are stinkers and stuff, but you're going to, for the most part, people are going to be open-minded and kind of, they believe you or whatever, and not really going to question it too much and argue too much. And that's what I love about this community and stuff. So, and 100% with the, one thing leading into another, we were, after our conference in September, we were down so that was in Richmond, Missouri. We were down here in Marthasville, Missouri, just north of St. Louis, where I'm at. And we were at a haunted location, and we were sitting out at night, and we saw a ton of orbs. We heard howling and whooping and stuff. And the next morning we found footprints. And ever since then, I'm interested in paranormal, but I want to get more into the Bigfoot end of things. And so, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So can you tell us more about a sighting that you've had of Bigfoot?
I would love to. So I guess I can tell you about the moment that changed it all for me. We're coming up to about a year since it's happened, which is really nuts to even think about. But I was on a scouting expedition in the Panhandle of Florida, and we were looking for locations for a BFRO expedition that was coming the following spring. So I had been invited to go on this trip. I was like, absolutely, let's do it. And it actually happened to be the coldest night of the year. All
right, hang on. In Florida, how cold was that?
Really cold. It was down in the 20s, and I wasn't prepared for 20-degree weather.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll give you that one.
And this is the Panhandle. So, okay. And I love all my people in the Panhandle, but like Florida is a very interesting place. Like it's barely Florida. It's Florida, but it's like, it's really far away from all of the rest of us.
Right. I agree.
I had to ask that because I give Natalie a hard time because she's so cold and it's like 70, upper 70s.
And it was getting, well, that is cold, but no, it's getting down to, it was getting down to the 20s, and I was not prepared. Like I was expecting maybe 40s, 50s, but we had this really big, like cold drop that was coming. It was like warning, deathly cold temperatures, like the, alert went out. It was like a thing. We're like, oh, okay, great. So it's the coldest night of the year, and it's our last night in camp. The next day we were all going home, and one of my friends realized that she had lost her phone out on the trail. So this was about 9:30 at night. And it's like, oh crap, like we got to go find it, because if it's just going to get colder from here, we've got to go now. Let's go ahead and do it. And it's you don't let your friend go search for something alone in the dark. No. And where she thought she lost it was actually on a trail that was like near the camp. There was like a small pond, and there's a trail that went around it. So we're like, okay, we can do this loop trail. We can bang it out. It's going to be better if we all kind of search together. So we're looking again at this point in time, not thinking about Bigfoot. I'm just thinking about how cold it is and how I want to go get back by that fire, find this phone and get done. So not thinking about Bigfoot. And we're out there and we're looking, and all of a sudden, because of how this trail loops, it comes up behind the camp, and there were other campers there. The campground was full. This was like Thanksgiving weekend, and I wanted to be respectful, and I didn't want to be shining my light or being really loud, because like I said, this was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Like other people had gone to bed, trying to be mindful. And I'm like, are we already back at camp? Because I see these two white lights up in the trees at about the 12 o'clock position, right? And then they go away, and I'm like, what was that? And so I'm like, the guy in front of me, I'm like, hey, come here. I saw these lights. Like, are we close to camp? I don't know what that was. And MaryLynn says that I said that they were headlights, because they were so bright. Right. And Jeff's like, well, let's look in the woods. Let's light up the woods. I'm like, okay. So I turned my flashlight on, and I'm like shining in the wood lines. And that's when, from the 12 o'clock position, we're about like the 9-10 position, my light hits eyes. And when it hit these eyes, they were these large black eyes, and its body moved in this up down position in like this unnaturally fast way. It bobbed in a way like I can't even move that quickly. And it went up, down, and then it was just gone. Wow. And in that moment, I just had a chill go down my spine. I wanted to leave. I wanted to be done. I wanted to run away from that situation because I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do. And Marion's like, do you want to look at my thermal? I'm like, no, I really don't. I'm done. Get out of here. Yeah, because I still, even when I describe it, I know that I'm not capturing how freakishly fast it bobbed. Like I've never seen anything natural move that way. And we kept walking up the trail because they were like, do you want to turn around? Do you want to go back? I was like, I think it's just, we'll just keep pressing forward. We're all here together. Everybody's kind of like, I don't know, we're all on edge at this point. And Jeff's like, whatever it is knows that you saw it and it is now hunkered down back there. So we just need to keep moving on. So I was like, okay. And then we keep going a little bit and he goes, huh. And I'm like, oh gosh, what? And he was like, I just saw something kind of moving out of the corner of my eye. I just saw this like black figure moving and it took me a minute to process it. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. So we get out of there. And that was really something. And I remember I still have it on my phone. I went back to camp and I just quickly like sketched what I saw with the eyes. But the eyes, they were about like 7 to 8 feet up on the trees. And they were self-illuminating. And I now have come to kind of understand like they were eyes. But in that moment, I thought they were camp lights.
Yeah.
Wow.
How far away do you think that was when you saw it?
Not far. I don't think it was more than 20 feet. I've been trying to get better at my feet estimations. It's something I struggle with.
Wow.
But I don't think it was like that far ahead on the trail.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible to have something that close. Did you have a smell? Was there any smell?
No. And actually, so to speak to, your point of where they were, when it was at the 12 o'clock position, I would say 20 feet. Now, when we got to about the 10 o'clock position, it was significantly closer too, I should note. It wasn't 20 feet away at that point. It was much clearer, but there was no smell. We have been out in the woods and have come across some, strange odors, and we're like, something tracking us. Cause that's something you have to pay attention to with, the wildlife down here, as you know.
I know.
Yeah. So, but no smell with this, but I will say, so this trip happened. We went home the next day. We came back in the spring, and in the springtime, we did have some activity upon going back to this particular area on that expedition.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that was in the Panhandle, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's a really squatchy area.
It is. It really is. Among other things.
Yeah.
I've come to learn.
So you were describing that, and on another episode, you were describing that as well. But you also said that somebody told you that there was other things in the woods there. And what can you share what they told you? Because when I heard that, I'm like, oh hell no, I ain't going in there.
Yes. So I was told by a local that there's black-eyed children in that particular area, as well as the skinwalkers and crawlers. And funny enough, it wasn't just the local who told me about the skinwalkers. I had 3 other independent people, none of which know each other. None of the 4 people, including the local, know each other, tell me very similar stories of skinwalker encounters that they had. And actually somebody who stayed at that very same campground that we stayed at had a skinwalker encounter and literally went and checked themselves into, like, they Baker acted themselves. And for people who are not familiar with that, here in Florida, that basically means when you submit yourself to a 72-hour psychological hold and evaluation. This is a grown man who went and committed himself after what he saw.
Wow.
That will mess with you.
Yeah.
that will mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to think how. I mean, seeing the Bigfoot's one thing, and I guess seeing it, I guess, run away from you, knowing that you're probably, if it's away from you, you're probably safe. But then those other two things, holy crap.
Yeah. And I think I definitely had that thought going back to camp and sitting by the fire and trying to go to sleep that night. It's like, oh my gosh, like, what if we do come across something more? Like Bigfoot in itself is scary enough. And I had to think about it too. Like, why am I doing this? Like you have this moment where you're like, huh, because you talk to people and you're like, oh, I was scared out of the woods, like hunters who refuse to go back, people who get truly terrified and are like, I'm done. I'm never going in the woods again. And I sleep with the light on at night. And I'm thinking like, am I nuts? Because to your point, we know about Bigfoot and he's our big fun friend. But when you're out in his territory, its territory, or the territory of something potentially supernatural, something maybe malevolent, something that's not as perhaps friendly as sometimes, like, not that Bigfoot's friendly, but it's not always aggressive. You do hear about those aggressive encounters, but it's like, yeah, what do you do? And it's like, oh, why am I doing this? I had this moment where I'm like, am I okay? Like, especially after hearing people's stories, but then it's like, you realize like, I'm doing this to find answers, to be transparent, to share the journey. And because at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to let something scare me out of the woods. And but it's in that moment where you kind of question yourself and you're like, maybe I am a little nuts.
And I mean, you're right, we kind of laugh about it now, but in the heat of the moment, why this again? But wow,
I mean, I get asked, are you insane? Like, well, after
okay,
a while you got to say yes.
Yeah.
I know, Natalie, you just have bear spray when you go out there. Brooke, what do you carry with you?
Usually at any given moment, I have at least 2 firearms on me. And that's not a joke. I really do. I've got, I have my firearms, knife. We have pepper spray, because I'm honestly, I'm mostly concerned about other people, to be honest with you. And I will say, Florida's pretty good about concealed carry. We have open carry now. Probably won't do that, but I do concealed carry. I mean, I've come across some really strange people doing this who concern me way more than whatever lurks in the woods, unfortunately. And as a woman, I have to try to level the playing field and just stay protective and, keep my friends and family safe from anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we gotta get Natalie a little sidearm.
I do have a Glock. I have a Glock.
She just needs to take it with her. Okay.
Yeah, and so I just don't have a concealed carry, which I gotta get. But yeah,
not in Florida. Not in Florida. You don't have to. There's a law. No, as long as you're I think over the age of whatever, and you just follow the laws. You don't take it into churches and schools. As long as it's concealed, you're good to go.
Good to go. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And I don't like guns, so I guess I'm going to have to start liking guns now.
Because
if I'm going to go,
Brooke, to your point, it's not the animals or the supernatural that's out there that worry me. By no means. It is other strange people. And Lord knows we have come across some. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Humans scare
absolutely. Me. Yeah, they absolutely do. And then someone will tell you a story about like feral humans, and you're like, "Wait, what? I thought this couldn't get any weirder." And you're like, and then it does.
It does.
It does.
It takes a turn, and you're like, "Oh, wow." Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's out there? It's just a scary world from what we know, and then throw things in there that we don't know about too much. Good golly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So where else do you go squatching?
Literally anywhere that I can. I have been on a few trips this year to Tennessee. I've gone to North Carolina this year, Georgia, all over Florida, obviously, but Central Florida, the Panhandle is a favorite. I'm actually leaving in a couple weeks to go on another expedition in South Carolina. So that'll be exciting. It'll be my, I think my second BFRO expedition, and we're going to a hot spot up there. So I'm really excited for that. So I go wherever it takes me. I've luckily had the opportunity to go on some trips this past year, and it's been great.
That is awesome. Yeah, I see your pictures, and they're amazing.
Oh,
They
thank
are
you.
so amazing, and you get out there and just it's beautiful. And I mean, even though you may not find a Bigfoot, you're enjoying nature, and it's beautiful.
100%.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's what makes it fun is that truly like throughout doing all this, you learn about the areas that you go and you research, you learn about the history, what was there, who the first settlers were, what historic buildings are there. And then it just helps really connect you with people. I know Marion, she's really passionate about like edible plants. So when you have people in your circle who are also passionate about learning too, like she'll be like, oh, this is this edible plant and la la la. And so you get to learn about, what's out there with you, what kind of animals are in the area, that sort of a thing. So it definitely makes it worth it. And we get to visit some really epic locations. So yeah, at least if we don't get to see Bigfoot, we still get to see some amazing views. So
yeah, that is so awesome. And it's fun.
And how did you get involved with the BFRO?
Oh my goodness. Well, probably my friend Marion, again, shout out Marion Gant.
Hi, Marion.
She's the best. She was one of the people who I met at that very first Bigfoot dinner. We connected and then, we stayed friends and then, the Bigfoot world kind of brought us back together where we finally met at another dinner, saw each other again and was like, hey, you want to go out? Yeah. You want to go out? Yeah, let's do it. And then it kind of just went from there. And she has been a BFRO investigator for like 20 years. She had, was married, well, still married, had kids, did that whole thing, raised the kids. So she kind of took a little bit of a break from it. Someone in her family actually had a Bigfoot sighting on their property. And so anyways, so when we met and she had a little bit more time on her hands being retired, she's gotten back into doing it like more full time. And she was like, yeah, we should go on an expedition. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And got to meet some amazing people. Now I have even like more people that I can say are my friends, who are other investigators and stuff. And they're great. And I think like, I just want to say this, I think some people have this connotation with what they think the BFRO is or what they think the BFRO believes. And I will tell you, like, the investigators themselves have had paranormal things happen. Like they will talk to you. Like, I'm not saying all of them, but I know several of them who are not afraid to come and share their experiences and talk about how, Bigfoot and the paranormal blend and the things that have happened to them while they're out in the woods. So they are more open-minded than maybe people might think.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Got a question here for you from John Temperine. Sorry, John. I'll just say John. I believe something is holding these cryptids at bay for now. What are your thoughts on that?
That's fascinating. I think that's really interesting. I think that I feel like that could go down a little bit of a rabbit hole if we're talking about like, the end of times or something and the veil thinning and perhaps our world getting, more stranger, or that could have something to do with the Eisenhower Treaty and how they could only for people who maybe aren't familiar with that, there supposedly Eisenhower struck a deal with an alien civilization that they could kidnap and abduct so many people per year. So yeah, maybe if you're referring to that contract, and that could be something keeping them at bay for sure. But I think the activity is only going up. I really feel like, the sightings of strange things are only increasing. Yeah, who knows? Maybe there is a dam about to break, so to speak. I don't know. Right. I know the Pope was doing some weird rituals on Christmas in the Vatican, so perhaps. Well, I don't know.
Do you think that kind of connects with the increase in earthquakes around the country?
Bigfoot?
I mean, anything. I mean, things are thinning. The veil's thinning. Or more things are happening around.
It certainly seems like, especially when you look at the Earth, I think, what do they call it? The Schumann resonance. And when that's going crazy in coordination with like things, I think it does feel like we are almost like reaching like a fever pitch that something is occurring, that more people are waking up to different things in our society. More people are questioning things. The energy is a little bit different. That's why I think it's so important, at least for me, to get outside and get out into the woods and just kind of disconnect from a little bit of the noise, because if you tune into it, it really will throw off your nervous system. And you look around and there's just so much like negativity everywhere you look. And on the news, it does seem like, like the world is ending, but there's, earthquakes happening here and like floods happening there. And I think it's important to kind of just sometimes turn the TV off and like get outside and get grounded with nature and look around and just realize how beautiful, God's earth is. Because it can be easy to get swept up in a noise. I teeter back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, oh, what's happening? But then I'm like, I gotta breathe and just enjoy today, because
I'm with you on that one. Yeah. I can't watch that stuff too much.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, there's a definite shift. There's a definite shift.
Yeah.
You could feel it.
Yeah.
Definitely feel it.
All right.
Yeah. Gotta stay grounded and ready for the zombie.
Sir Brian had a question.
Another Floridian. What are your top 3 must-have items for your investigations and why?
Ooh, good question. As a bonus, an open mind. That's thing number 1. Thing number 2, I would say a good thermal. That really helps when you're on nighttime investigations and during the daytime. It can really help rule out a lot of things. You can hear something scuffling in the woods and get pretty scared. And then you get on the thermal and you're like, oh, it's just a little armadillo. It's like, okay, all right. I just panic. Okay. So I think that really helps like rule things out, and helps you feel a little bit more comfortable in the woods, especially when it's dark out and you're like, oh my God, what's there? You can really scan the area and see, okay, it's just us, maybe an owl or something. So I think a thermal is really important. And I think having good maps of the areas that you're going to, if it's not an area that we're familiar with, we really do try to print out and do as much research as we can beforehand. And then bring copies of those maps and things like that with us in some waterproof casings and stuff. And then let's see, I wonder, do I have something fun? Let me think. I bring my special little Bigfoot that was blessed by the Seminole Indian tribes with me on investigations. So that's kind of like my go-to thing I have thrown in my pack. It was a gift.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to explain that now.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah, well, at this wonderful Bigfoot Christmas dinner party that I helped co-host, it was last year, and David Shealy from the Skunk Ape headquarters, he came up to join us, and he grew, from my understanding, he's like lived there, I think his whole life, and has become really close friends with the Seminole Indian tribe and things like that. And he came up to me and kind of pulled me inside. I was like, here, I have this gift. I want to give it to you. This was, blessed by the tribe, and this is for you to take with you on your investigations. It'll keep you safe and, protected. And I was like, thank you. And then, I took it home and I'm like, what do I want to do with this? Like, is this protected or is this cursed? Because like I'm that type of a person. I can't just you can't just tell me it's blessed. Right. I gotta come to that conclusion on my own. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, even though you told me that, I have no reason to doubt you. I'm just skeptical, and I'm like, okay, let me see. But now it goes with me everywhere. I have it in my bag. I keep it with me, and it's a cute little guy that I bring with me everywhere I go on my little investigations. And so far, it has kept me protected.
That's so good.
Nice.
That is so good. And I will see you December 13th.
Yeah.
At the next party.
I was about to be like, what's December 13th? The party.
The party.
You better be there.
I'll be here.
Yeah. In the cold.
It'll be cold by then. So I also have a little Bigfoot thing. It's a little lavender smelly thing.
Oh, calming. I like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
I wish mine was lavender.
Yeah. It just hangs there.
Just smell it.
Yeah.
It. Oh, yeah.
Zen.
That's some good stuff right there.
Right.
So, I don't think we're smelling the same thing, Natalie.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, you're off.
I'm off smelling something else. So, Brooke, where is your ideal place that you're like, I really want to go here and investigate?
Oh my gosh. That's such a good question. Man, I think I would probably want to go to I would want to look at Dave Paulides maps and find the biggest cluster of missing persons that he has on there. And I'd be like, let's go right there and let's figure it out. I've always wanted to definitely get out into the Pacific Northwest and check out that area. I'm so envious of you for going to the LBL here in a couple weeks. I've never been. And I think that's I think once you get in this field, you have certain bucket list locations, and it's like, you haven't been there yet? You gotta go. So it's like, I gotta make my way there. I think, honestly, every time, and it's like, you listen to a show or you hear someone talk and they'll say something, and like, I'll write it down, and it's like, it might be in the most mundane of places, and no hate on Ohio or something, but they could be like, oh yeah, it was out here in Ohio. And I'm like writing down Ohio or something, looking at flights out there. So I'd like to go where I know that there's a high cluster of activity or strange things. Obviously, being more primarily based out of the East Coast, I would love to make my way out west and check things out there. I know the terrain is completely different. And I would love to dive into a place like that. Maybe even really go weird and do Arizona, New Mexico, and just put yourself on actually an Indian reservation or something like that would probably be
that
cool.
Would be sweet. That would be sweet.
Yeah. Make a friend with one of the people who would really talk to you and share, their stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of course, skinwalker sightings.
Yeah.
Out west, a lot. So that's strange and unusual. Definitely. I get that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anywhere in Navajo Nation, which I think it spans 6 states or something.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
For sure.
So let's kind of switch things up from Bigfoot. We're talking about Bigfoot. Yeah, that's it. You should hear everything going on in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had any alien or UFO encounters?
I have. I did. So I had my UFO sighting before I experienced anything else in the strange. It was in November in 2014. I was living in South Carolina at that point in time. In the town that we lived in, there was absolutely nothing to do. And you guys might be familiar with the Murdaugh murders and the show that has just recently come out. Where that happened was the town that I lived in. And there was nothing there happening, but apparently that. So anywho, in this county, it has this little beach town called Edisto. And it's not Clearwater. It's one of those places where summer ends, the streets roll up and it's a lot of local houses, very an Outer Banks kind of a vibe. And there's really nothing happening there in the middle of November. So me and my friends, we were going to go for a drive and hang out on the beach. And we get to the beach and we go out there and looking out over the water. And all of a sudden we see these lights. And so what the lights did is they were in this formation, and there were these amber lights, these orange amber lights. And there was maybe 9 or 6 of them. And then they would go out one at a time. And when they would go out, then they would reappear in a triangle shape or in another straight line, and they were making really intelligent shapes and stuff. And you could see the stars, and the stars were really tiny in comparison to how big these orange balls of light were. And it was not a drone or anything like that. Again, this was 2014. And I know that we're kind of a little desensitized to drones and things like that now, and light displays in the sky, but it wasn't that. I can tell you it wasn't that. And we were watching it, and we all kind of collectively were like, we should leave. Don't want to be abducted or find out what happens next. And again, I didn't really think, we thought it was weird. And I actually even still have this status screenshot of one of my friends was like, we saw some really weird stuff in the sky that night, and tagged us all in it. But other than that, it was kind of okay. And then probably months later, just watching TV, and History Channel special comes on of the Phoenix Lights, and I'm watching it and my jaw just drops because I'm seeing on camera that's the closest thing that's comparable to what we saw that night. It looked so similarly to how it behaved, how it looked. And I'm like, holy crap, that's what we saw. And, for those listening, the Phoenix Lights happened back in Phoenix in, I believe, 1996 or at least the 1990s. And I'm talking about seeing something in South Carolina over the water in November of 2014. And that was really crazy. And that was my UFO sighting.
Very cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
No sound with those at all, or just the lights?
There was a sound. I just don't talk about it a lot. Because I just think, some things I think people think are too woo. People can believe you see lights in the skies, but a lot of people don't believe, oh, you heard something with it. I will say, like, when they went away, we would hear like a metallic sound that went with it. Almost like, the IMAX, like, kind of a thing. It was like that, but very metallic. And then, we would see these light formations. And like I said, we decided to leave and not stay to find out.
And not get abducted.
Right.
Which is probably a good thing. So that kind of leads to this question. Have you ever had any missing time?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I have talked to people who have experienced missing time. As far as I know, I have not.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But I've heard of that. Definitely have heard of that.
Yeah. I like I said, I've talked to people who have experienced that, and it sounds very scary. But I haven't experienced that myself.
You're wondering what's going on, like
what happened. Yeah.
What happened?
Is
there any metal pieces in me? You're
like, yeah. It's really funny you say that. I'll say this. My sister, she went to the dentist and found out that she had like a piece of shrapnel in her jaw. And she's not like a combat veteran or anything like that. She has done nothing to have any potential, like, metal, nothing, no scars or anything like from any accidents or anything like that. And they wound up pulling this like really strange metallic thing out of her jaw. And I was like, did you ask them to like let you keep it? And she's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I would have kept that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. She's had some weird stuff pulled out of her, but
I would have had that analyzed. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Me too.
And well, has she had any experiences like you have, or?
I don't think so. No.
That she knows of.
Yeah. We're similar, but we're very different. I think, I don't want to say like, maybe I've opened up myself to it, because I wasn't doing anything. Like, I think back, like I was like 18 years old. I wasn't doing anything at that point in time. I don't think to like open up the door to like, this girl needs to see a UFO. Like I wasn't like I wasn't into it like I am now, and going to hot spots and going to locations. I was just like hanging out with friends, which is honestly what a lot of experiencers and just regular people, even having Bigfoot sightings. So I tell people too, like, because like, you go to these talks and you see people who are maybe on oxygen or in a wheelchair or older. And, I never want someone to come away and feel like, man, I'm never going to see this. I'm never going to experience this. Like, because I do encourage to get out there and explore, but I try to remind people, like, you could literally be driving down the road or going to work, just like my nanny was. And you could have something totally change your life. You could be out fishing and see something really weird in the water, or, on the back porch at your house. So you don't have to be out in the woods to experience something weird. But I don't think, back to my sister, I don't think she's had anything too strange.
Let's see here. We answered Brian. We have a bunch of questions here for you.
Yeah, we do.
Here's one from Daryl. This was a little while ago. I have all these starred, so I appreciate you putting them in all caps. So I have them starred, and we'll get to as many as we can. Do Brooke think the Eisenhower deal was with one type of ET? Because I think there are more that do whatever they want when they want. Well, I can't read.
Daryl, I think that there are more than one type of alien entity. I think it's possible he could have struck a deal with maybe the most, I don't want to say maybe diplomatic ones at the time, because I do think that there are some different species that don't abide by our karmic laws for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of interested. That kind of leads me to my question. Kind of interested to hear your take on this. What do you think of the UFO? Are some of them, I guess we should say, living among us? Are they from other systems?
I think it's organic in the sense of I'm really on the fence of what I think space is. Mm-hmm. So without turning this into a totally different conversation, I just think that talk about rabbit holes and trying to figure out the why and the what. Like I'm totally like no moon landing. I don't believe that happened. I've read too much. I know too much now to where I feel like my mind has been forever changed. So that calls other things into question for me. So I at this point am not sure where I land on space and certain things like that. I'm kind of, that one's a thing. As far as the entities go, I think that they're terrestrial. I think that they come from our system, perhaps even the water in the ocean. You hear about these, my sighting, other people's sightings. They have a sort of a similar thread, even with some of the new disclosure that's come out with the Tic Tac video and other things. Those were all over water. And you hear of these ships and crafts going into water or, emerging and so on and so forth. So I think that they could be from this atmosphere. And what was the other part of your question?
What are they from here? Are they from other galaxies or other systems or whatever? Or could they be us from the future? And what could they be doing here?
Yeah,
I mean, like you said, that could be a whole nother rabbit hole that would take like days.
Yeah, I definitely, and especially talking to like Phyllis Cesar, she presented at the event that we were at, and I know that she's been a guest on my show, and she has shared her experiences. She is a medium who's very like psychically connected to these things, and she shared the different races and goals that they have, and I think that they are among us. I think you look around, I think they are. I think that they're like, and especially when we talk about like mythology and stuff like that, I'm a firm believer in like the little g gods were real. Like, when we talk about people like Loki and Odin and different things like that, like I think Baal, Moloch, I think that they were real and they're around still and they've rebranded.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Very interesting. And I'm with you on the Tic Tacs or the whatever coming out of the ocean. I think that is such a vast space that we have not even begun to explore. And that there's stuff down there that we'll probably never find out what it is.
Yeah.
What's down there.
Yeah, I don't think we ever will, because I mean, we've only explored a small percentage of the ocean, and it would take another lifetime of technology just to get to the depths to see what's really down there.
Yeah. Okay,
we have some other questions coming up here.
And I'm not really going into. Well, I guess I should go in order. Hang on a second.
Just random.
I'm curious to ask Brooke if she has heard of different looking species of Bigfoot in Florida, because so far I've only heard of swamp ape looking ones.
You do hear variances in different sightings. Like people will report different colors and things like that. I know here in Florida, typically you hear about them being more of that cinnamon color, but then I've heard some interesting reports out of the swamp of people saying that they're seeing green things. So I don't know how to categorize that other than, it potentially being, the skunk ape. I think that there are some variances, but overall throughout the sightings, the details remain the same. They remain consistent.
Okay. You kind of answered this one earlier. Have you ever seen a cryptid Bigfoot? You had that experience with the eye shine and whatever you saw bobbing in the forest.
Yeah.
Here's one. What is your most unexplained sighting?
I'm gonna have to go with the UFO sighting. That still reigns as like the coolest, most unexplained thing I've ever seen, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the eye shine that you saw in the woods.
No, I still think the UFO one takes the cake. I mean, that was truly that was incredible.
So was it the story from your grandmother?
Mm-hmm.
Was it that got you into this, or was it something else that happened to you that got you into this?
I think it was her. I think I've always believed her. I always like I said, growing up, like hearing that, I already kind of had that in my mind, like, okay, Bigfoot's real. You know, I think some people kind of come across and they're like, is it real? Like, I was kind of one of those people who's like, yeah, it's definitely real. And so I kind of always, you know, I always believed her. I kind of always like, you know, would joke about it like loosely, like growing up. And different things like that. Like, oh yeah, like I said, I believe in gremlins and Bigfoot and mermaids. Like, what's up? And then I just decided, I think, to take it more seriously. Then I really, you know, now I'm an adult. I'm using my free will. And with my free will, I have decided to become a Bigfoot field researcher, as one does. And I've decided to enjoy this plane of existence and figure out what's going on with the big guy. Because, like, you hear these stories and, you know, I started hearing these stories and things like that and learning about what was going on out there, then thinking about her sighting and what she saw. And I was like, I want to get out there and see if I'm able to experience or see any of this stuff for myself. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are agnostic when it comes to Bigfoot. Like, we believe it 100%. And I think you talk to a lot of people who will say, oh my God, I totally believe it. I believe that Bigfoot's real. I believe that he's out there in the woods and all these things are still happening, right? But they're like, there's still this part of me that's like maybe 95%, you know, like 95% of you that believes in Bigfoot. And then there's that other 5%, because it's like human nature, where you're like, I need to see this for myself. And I think that maybe that's where I was too, where I knew, like I said, I loved hiking and stuff, but at the same time, like putting yourself in areas, looking at the sighting maps on where people are having sightings, maybe time of day, different environments, things like that. And then going on and putting yourself in those same situations to potentially stir up an encounter. Yeah, I like to know the why. And I'm an adventurer at heart. So this just was like, I think this was just written in the stars.
Oh yes, you were born for this.
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah.
So I have a question. So, what is your take on mind speak when it comes to Bigfoot?
Well, I can say that I have heard from people's opinion whom I trust, that it's happened to them. I think telepathy is a real thing. I mean, think of how many times like you're thinking of somebody and, you know, next thing you know, they send you a message or they call your phone, or whatever, you see something that you're thinking about, that just confirms that thought. So I feel like if we can do that and we can sense each other's energy, I think that's really interesting when you look at like the human body and then our energy fields. And that's why, like, you know, people can say they literally can feel the vibe, like you can feel the vibe in the room. And I've heard from people, and it's been different. Like, I've heard some people say like they've heard specific words, or sometimes they've like gotten feelings transmitted to them. And I believe them. I personally have not experienced it. And I know that it's a little bit controversial. And I think that's one of those things that for maybe people who need more of the proof, it's harder for them to buy into concepts like that. But for me, I know that I've spoken to people whom I believe who have experienced that. So I have to keep that door open. It's not happened to me, but I do believe it is happening to people out there. I can't deny that.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've never experienced it, but I've heard of credible people who have witnessed it, who have experienced it, and, you know, either have gotten terrified from it or just embraced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching football over the weekend, and on a couple plays, I kept thinking he's going to throw it to number 85. That wasn't the number, but that was it. sure enough, the next play, it was a pass play to the 85. And then a couple other things happened like that. This is weird. Weird things are going on.
Yeah.
Synchronicities.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on gifting Bigfoots?
Ooh, I think it's interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I have a little gifting area out in the swamp myself that is overdue for me to go and check it out. That's something I'm experimenting with because I have heard of other people being able to get evidence from that, such as hair or that habituation. I think as long as you're being respectful to the forest and things like that, I'm totally okay with that. I think, like leaving natural gifts and food, I think it's cool. I think, we're all out here really honestly doing trial and error, trying to figure out what works. And I also think it's not going to be the same for every person in every area. I think you're going to have a variance no matter what. And, you do hear that in, ancient tradition and the native tradition, you are supposed to leave little gifts and things for the land, like tobacco and sage and things like that. I say it's worth a shot. I mean, like I said, as long as you're being respectful to the environment, you're not going out there and trashing the woods. I think it's okay. Like I said, I have a little area I need to go check that I've left out. Actually, I've left out some blue marbles and left them in a formation, and we've come back and they've been moved. Tried to just leave little things out there and see what works and see what doesn't. But it's also kind of a little difficult too, because you have to try to find a location that has no people, and that's a little difficult, especially here in Florida. It sometimes feels like you're on top of each other. So, but yeah.
Have you ever received a gift?
Actually, I believe, like I said, synchronicities and stuff. We will get feathers, and things like that. Oddly enough, I've come across a lot of balloons, in different areas. So I literally, I'm going to do it. Put it on my to-do list, is to come up with a compilation video of all the balloons that we've come across. I've taken so many pictures of, we'll be out in these remote locations. The next thing you know, we see a balloon, different times, different dates. And we always take the balloon with us. We don't leave it out in the woods. It's not the same balloon. We take it out with us. Sometimes it'll say hello, or it'll be a heart. And I think that that's really crazy because, we'll be in an area and Mary and I will talk about I feel like we're in a really, really squatchy area or something like that. Next thing you know, we'll find a balloon, and it's almost become like a joke, not like a joke, but right. And she's not her mind is becoming more open. She's very, very scientific. And so, she's like, oh my gosh, there's our balloon. And it's crazy. So in a way, I think somehow we are, being gifted, but, yeah.
That's so cool. So cool.
Ryan Corbin, Dark Florida is a great podcast. I agree.
Yes, it is.
Make sure you go over there and subscribe to it. And
Thanks,
if you really like clowns too, make sure you mention clowns a lot. Somebody on here doesn't like clowns.
That would be me.
I saw that comment on here. Don't mention clowns or they'll cry or something. And I apologize. I had to say that.
Gosh, you must have been crippled in 2016 with the whole clown scare thing. It was like every time you turned on the news, they were like, another clown has been spotted on I-75.
Right. And all these clowns, like with knives and bats and stuff. And
just standing there.
Like a couple get shot?
I don't know. I didn't know they were violent. I just know they were popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
for the record, clowns don't bother me. I mean, they can... I'll bring one. You know what? Maybe the next show that we're on, maybe next Tuesday, I'll just keep my screen off and then I'll just be dressed up as a clown for you.
Well, I know that we've talked about an array of topics tonight, and this might explain why you're afraid of clowns, Natalie. There's a guy, I think his name is Paul Stobbs. I could be wrong. But if you look up clowns and the meaning of clowns, he theorizes the reason why so many people and children and stuff are scared of clowns is because they tie back to the original Nephilim, and that people would dress as the clown, the red, the traditional red is because they were cannibalistic. So that's the blood of whoever they consumed, and that they would have these really exaggerated features and stuff. And he goes into a whole thing. Like, it's a really cool presentation. I want to get him on. You guys should get him on. I think his name's Paul Stobbs, and he goes into it way better than what I'm explaining. But he kind of talks about how clowns, why so many people could have that just like innate fear of clowns for seemingly no reason.
So now that you brought that up, I don't think I like clowns now.
Yeah. If you listen to it, it'll change your mind.
Yeah.
Just that 15 seconds changed my mind. I'm good.
Brooke is a wealth of information.
I know.
A wealth of it. She does deep dives and studies, and she knows facts and everything. She's amazing. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Cryptid, paranormal, UFO, clowns, you name it.
But I don't think she's an expert on clowns. You call me crazy, but no.
Right. Not a clown expert. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get off.
We'll
stop talking about the clowns. Okay, because now I'm getting creeped out.
So creepy.
One thing we haven't. Okay, Benno was afraid of clowns. Now he's bringing up clowns in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't really brought up too much of the paranormal world. Have you had many ghostly encounters? And that reminds me, there's another question that I need to get to after that.
Yeah, I love getting to play around out in the field. I love anytime we get to go to a graveyard. I've recently started dabbling with dowsing, and have had some really good responses. Even on that one expedition that we were on, those balls that you have over there. We were experimenting with some of those on the trip, and we didn't have any luck with that, but we were communicating back and forth with this like 1800s ghost. We were in this graveyard, and I had the spirit box going, and we just had so many like confirmations that night. It was crazy. One guy who hadn't come into the graveyard, because like, no, I'm not going in there, you guys are crazy, decided to come in, and he went to sit down to kind of look at one of the headstones, and all of a sudden it comes across and says, "Come sit with me." And I was like, oh my gosh. And we were just having things like that, like happen, like confirmation of like the dialogue we were having. That's kind of like a favorite thing to do. I'm not scared to talk. Some people are like, oh, I'm afraid to I'm like, we'll be okay, I'll do it.
I've always been a little leery of investigating cemeteries, because my belief is I don't think it's the spirits of the people who are laid to rest there. I think it's more of a demonic evil spirit that's trying to get
like mimicry.
Energy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think anything good is in there, but that's just my belief. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I throw me in a haunted location and I'll be fine. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, and the dowsing rods, those are fantastic. We were using those last time for the first time actually. And those were pretty cool. We got some really good responses with that.
Yeah, we did. Got great responses.
And
I like the test questions. Like, next time you do it, you should, like, just for fun, just because some people are like, oh, is that real? Ask it a question like, point at who the Aquarius is, or like, I like to do it. Like, I like to mess with MaryLynn. And I was at Cheryl's, camp out actually, and it was me and this other lady, and this other lady was like down for it. She was like, yeah, ask it this, ask it that, da, da, da. I was like, okay. And then like every once in a while I would be like, can you please point to MaryLynn? And they'd be like, dude. And she's like, stop making it point at me. I'd be like, quit doing that.
Oh, okay. That's good.
What does your shirt say?
It says no sign of intelligence anywhere.
Okay.
I love that.
I like that. That's good.
That's nice. I like that.
It's a little alien with some binoculars and someone getting abducted. I thought it was fitting.
Guys, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I saw bits and pieces of it throughout the show, and I'm like, what does that all say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. All right, back to the questions here.
Okay.
Friday House. Do you study cryptozoology, ufology, as well as spirituality. There's a lot of ologies there.
Yes, to all of the above.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think like you were saying, I think it's all connected. That's why I know, I guess when I hear paranormal, I know people are talking about ghosts, but in my mind, like I said, I think we almost need to come up with a better term, because for me, I feel like Bigfoot and the paranormal are not segregated topics. To me, I feel like they're in the same same field, same realm.
Very much. I think if you talk about cryptozoology and you talk about, the paranormal, that is such a broad area. And the paranormal really is just what's not explained. And the cryptozoology is like something that's not identified yet. So it's very, very vast.
Yeah.
Little Patty, what are your take on lizard people? Do you think they exist?
I think there's a few in public office right now.
Without naming who, what off? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure a few of our Congress people are for sure lizard people, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. And I definitely think that there's a few reptilians out there. They kind of freak me out. I believe in the Dracos and stuff like that. I think that they're, I mean, I'll just keep it at that. I won't get myself in trouble. I think
I feel I want to thank you.
Yeah.
Another one. Do you feel when finding truth of reality and the paranormal that quantum mechanics may bring some answers? Interesting.
Woof. That is a little bit above my area of expertise. I love being able to lean on people who do have a little bit more experience in that area. It's fascinating. I mean, I've listened to talks by people like, Ron Moorhead and Ronnie LeBlanc, even, my friend MaryLynn. They get really deep into, checking out that research. So I love when she can share those tidbits with me. That is such a vast concept. I would love to know and speak more on it. That's a little bit out of my wheelhouse.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I got all the questions. So how often do you release your podcast, and when do you release it?
Well, I've kind of been releasing it on Thursdays, but I don't keep myself to a strict schedule. I'm a nice boss. But been taking it a little too easy. I gotta crack down on some things around here. It's too much fun. But I try to release once a week. With everything that's been happening, it's been a little been more of like 2 weeks in between, which I'm trying to get back onto more of a regular scheduled program. But yeah, like once a week, I typically release on Thursdays. Yeah.
And where do you get your topics? Because on most of your episodes, it's multiple things going on there.
Well, yeah, sometimes I definitely sometimes I really love every once in a while just throwing in like a strange news episode. Like if I see enough like weird topics in the headlines at one time, I'm like, okay, we got to talk about this. Like there's some stuff going on. And I think that's like a fun like icebreaker thing. Especially after I cover like the last case I covered Ellen Greenberg, who was, I believe, murdered. And it was ruled a suicide. And that's like a really heavy case. Like I really had to edit out like a lot of the last part of the episode. It was really hard to get through and read, especially when you start talking about like the parents and stuff. So I have to break it up and do some like fun topics. But I really like anything that gets me thinking. I love asking questions and certain things, like for her case example, like to try to bring attention to it and awareness. And I like talking about obscure things. Like I always go back to it. Like one of my favorite episodes I did was the lead mask case, which is another unsolved death out of Brazil from the 1960s, where two gentlemen were found deceased on top of a hillside under some really mysterious circumstances. And I think like as an Easter egg for people who are paying attention, the episodes do have like a theme. They might not seem like they do, but like I think I like people to come to their own conclusions. So I try not to ever come out on a show, like, for example, even with the Ellen Greenberg case, I supply theories and I let the listener come up with their own explanations. I have my own personal theories going into things that I believe. And if you ask me about it, I'll tell you, but I try to keep it open for people. But I do sprinkle in, like, for the lead mask case that has UFO ties and connections to the paranormal there. So if you pay attention, they're a little bit more connected than they seem at first glance, but you'll be like, huh, I know I heard that weird detail before. And it's like, you heard it a few episodes ago. It happened in that case too.
And there's her channel. Make sure you go over there and subscribe. We have another question here. Friday House is just pumping these questions out.
Awesome.
When hunting or investigating cryptid, spirits, or ETs, what tools or pieces of equipment might have overlapping usages?
I definitely think like electromagnetic frequency has an overlap. I know a lot of people will use that in paranormal and ghost hunting investigations, but it's also really helpful while out researching Bigfoot. And again, being around other people, I've just learned so much there. I was telling actually Natalie about this weekend, that there's a BFRO investigator named Marcia who has her EMF reader, and she has, she's going to kill me because I can't think of what it's called, but it's measuring the frequencies of what's going on in the area. And primarily like that is used for weather and things like that. But you can use things like the EMF reader and things that measure frequencies that you might have in more of a traditional ghost thing. You can use that while researching Bigfoot because there is sort of an energy that's associated with it. When you're having spikes in activity around you, your equipment is also going off at the same time, and you can correlate those two pieces of data together. So often I keep a little EMF in my bag that I break out while we're out there too, because I do feel like at the end of the day, we are dealing with some sort of energy.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's great to see the growth Brooke has shown as a podcaster.
Isn't
it kind of funny to look back at some of your first shows and just look at and how far you've come with this? Isn't that just interesting to do?
Yes. It is. And I think that's one of the things to anybody who's thinking about starting a project or a podcast or whatever you're passionate about. I think one of the things that I was really caught up with in the beginning was like, oh my gosh, this has to be perfect. Like I have to have the perfect name. I have to have this, I have to have that. And yeah, if you were to go listen to episode 1 versus, episode 31, you're going to see a difference. I do a different sound. It's totally different, but guess what? You're never going to get better. You're never going to grow if you don't take 100%. The first step. So
100%.
Very much.
And stop thinking about it and just do it.
Yeah.
That was my thing. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You learn, you grow, you make mistakes, you grow some more.
Yeah. So what do you have next coming up on your show?
On my show, I just plan on covering more of the strange and the weird. I really want to try to get into posting more about like my investigations and stuff. We were at the Airbnb this weekend and I was sitting there showing my friends like on the AirPlay all these videos and they're like, oh my gosh, you have such great footage. Like this is what the people want to see. And I was like, I know. Okay. So I really want to try like, in tandem with the show to release more of that behind the scene footage so people can see what kind of goes into it. And then I would like to, I think it's on my goal list to kind of do something similar to you guys. It's like sort of just like a weekly show. I just want to be able to interact with the audience and the fans a little bit more, the listeners, and really curate like an engaging environment with them. So I think that's on the goal list is, more content, more connection, and more strange stories. I mean, I already got trips booked for 2026 that are on the thing. Wow. So no sign of slowing down anytime soon.
Good.
So
that is
more to come.
That's awesome. Thank you. And yeah, it is a lot of work, but to me it's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
I get to meet fantastic people like both of you two and just learn all kinds of fun stuff. So
and have fun.
I mean, that's the whole part of it. I mean,
yeah,
you can sit and laugh and have fun, then you're doing something right.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And what does Greg say? If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Moist, for the words of wisdom on that.
Yes. Greg, the Moist Man Ogles. Yes. Words of wisdom.
So.
Awesome. So what fun places are you going to next year, Brooke?
Well, next year I already have Tennessee and the Panhandle back on the docket. I'm really excited. I'm going back on another expedition to the Panhandle where we had the sighting and the activity. So I'm really, really stoked to get back there
Awesome.
and check some things out.
Awesome. Cool. Are you going to be at the Ocala conference this year?
Absolutely. God willing, I will be there. Absolutely.
Nice. Do you have many speaking engagements booked for next year? Well, I know you have one more this year, don't you?
I have one that's like semi-confirmed. I don't think I can talk about it yet. But I do have some stuff cooking up, hopefully for
nice.
Yeah, well, hopefully for the summer next year.
Well, that is awesome.
I'm open if anybody if anybody wants to consult about dates, let me know.
Yes. Everybody listen up. She's available. She's awesome. She is a brilliant speaker.
Oh, thank you.
And one more time, there's her YouTube channel, and I know they've been posting your Instagram and Facebook around. I just didn't start it. I know they have it on there. Brooke, thank you so much for coming on. I've been looking forward to meeting you ever since Natalie told me she was in contact with you and stuff. And this has just been a fantastic and a very fast 90 minutes here.
Yeah. It went by really fast.
I really enjoyed the conversation, and thank you guys so much for having me on. I loved that we got to cover a lot of different things tonight. It was fun.
It's sometimes it's kind of hard to get all this stuff in, but we managed, and I know we probably needed to spend more time on one or the other, but maybe next time, maybe we can have you on again and then
Absolutely.
Get a deeper dive into some other things.
Yeah.
So Auntie Venom is here. She was here very early, and then she came in at the very end. So, so once again, Brooke, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, make sure you stay in just 2 minutes. We're going to head over to BMR's channel. He's got, who does he have on there? He's got, I'm trying to read, Varla Ventura is coming on BMR tonight. And then Tex has Colorado serial killers later on tonight. So make sure you have your notifications on. So, all right. Quick thank you to, speaking of the devil, Tex. Yeah. Thank you, Tex. Thank you, Gary, for the memberships. And thank you, Sir Brian Bowden. Natalie, get that conceal and carry.
I know.
Or just get that carry.
Get that carry.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, make sure you tune in here tomorrow. Me and Krista are going to welcome Half Inch Wrench Crew. We're going to talk Bigfoot in Missouri and stuff. So hope everybody has a great rest of your evening and a great night. Thank you all for watching. I certainly do appreciate everybody showing up. And until tomorrow night and until next Tuesday. See you guys.
Thank you.